Dooba. Alright, well, I'm going to try to get as much done as we can tonight, but we're going to be at least starting a league with Lorehold Combo. I don't think we'll be quite finishing it, but we'll give it a good old college try at least. So Lorehold Combo. Similar to a deck we've played before, it tries to combine Indomitable Creativity to go find a Velomachus Lorehold. Let's kind of zoom this in. Velomachus Lorehold, which puts a 5/5 Hasty Dragon into play. Never to attacks. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may cast something with an instant or sorcery that costs less than or equal to its power. Ideally, you want to hit a Time Warp or a Savor the Moment. Chain a bunch of turns. Kill your opponent with a Velomachus. Beyond that, you're just kind of this good old 4-color good stuff deck. Very similar to the old Omnath control decks, at least in what it's like kind of trying to do. You're trying to leverage things like Remand, Run-In 6, Teferi Time Raveler, Bolt and Prismari Command to kind of buy you enough time to set up your combo. And then from there, win instantly with your dragons, or just try to beat your opponent down with some Dwarven Mines, burn them out with some bolts and some Prismari commands, should both your Velomachuses happen to get answered. And then beyond that, you have 1 copy of Jace the Mind Sculptor to shuffle your Time Warps to the top of your deck so you can hit them off your Velomachus, or in a pinch, serve as an alternative win con as potentially a way to close out games should both your dragons get finished off, or if your opponent somehow has infinite life or something along those lines that you can't do what you need to do. Now this deck is 74 out of 75 mana symbols deck from a couple weeks ago, so may not be the most up-to-date for the meta right now, but I did like the look of it. I did change 1 card from I think it was Kozilek Butcher of Truth, to a copy of Emrakul of the Aeons Torn. I think this card is much better to hit off of Indomitable Creativity and going and fetching with the sideboard Nahiri. I think it's a much more difficult to answer threat, as well as being your anti-mill insurance. 2 copies of Wear Tear as any type of artifact and enchantment answers. 3 copies of Veil of Summer for any type of counterspell shenanigans or any type of discard decks. 2 copies of Aether Gust for any type of red decks, along with 2 Purge and 2 Timely Reinforcements, so we should be fairly decently set up in a lot of situations. And obviously 2 Stony Silences for any of the various Urza decks and stuff running around, making their cookbooks and stuff kind of useless. So it's kind of the deck in a nutshell. Obviously, should mention Dwarven Mine and Prismari Command especially. This deck is primarily mountain-based, as you need to get 3 mountains into play before you put Dwarven Mine, so it can come into play untapped, put a 1/1 token, give you something to target with Indomitable Creativity. Teferi allows you to make sure in some situations that your opponent can't interact with what you're doing. And then Prismari Command can obviously make artifacts that you can target with your Indomitable Creativity, which makes it a little bit more difficult to deal with for some decks that are packing creature removal but may have difficulty removing a artifact token that you're targeting as opposed to a 1/1. So that said, let's try to get some of the league done. Did finish up a modern league, not modern league, a legacy league yesterday, so that was kind of nice. See if we can get on the scoreboard in modern for once. It's a pretty sweet deck, not one I've had much of an opportunity to pilot, so we will see how it goes. Oh, we also have Prismatic Ending as another way to answer potentially problematic threats. Alright, no companion for our opponent. Don't think this hand's keepable. This hand's at least more interesting, I suppose. Neither one of these are particularly good, but ad nauseam perhaps. Don't have a ton for the ad nauseam matchup. Forest Island. If our opponent doesn't have a way to answer Teferi, they could be in some trouble. It's unfortunate that they're main decking Thoughtseize now, so goodbye Teferi. Straight up blue-white, I would say, is probably nearly unplayable. I mean, it might be okay with like Prismari ending and some of that stuff. Do that. Play around 6. Grab a fetch land and pass. I know Jeskai has been kind of a thing, but that's been more about the fact of Ragavan's such a powerful threat. I don't know that blue-white straight up is good enough. I know there was a guy at my LGS playing Esper Stoneblade with like Vindicates and such. And then the Jeskai version obviously gets to play Monkey and such. So, all depends on what you want to be doing with Doyle. There's 2 cards on bottom. I think we are remanding the ever-living crap out of this Lotus Bloom. I think Orzhov honestly might be more... Okay. Do you kill yourself? Close. So Let's kill you in every way possible, shall we? Alright, sideboards. Rare Terrors seem good. Veils seem decent. Stonies seem decent. Bolts are relatively useless. Prismatic endings. And they're okay, I guess. Yeah, Warzaw's Stoneblade seems like it might be playable. In fact, I do believe that is one of the decks that's seeing some play. There you go, Doyle. There's a bunch of deck lists. They almost look more like bad Death and Taxes lists, though, honestly, some of them. It seems to be putting up decent results. Uses like grief and that kind of nonsense. Just don't think this hand does enough. This hand seems okay. Put back the Velomachus, most likely. Like, we don't have any of our hate cards, but we're probably going to get Thoughtseized on one anyway. Nope. Alright, so they got us with the Serum Visions. Oh, I don't doubt that. I was just showing you that it is potentially possible to play that way, that's all. So could be dead here, right? Sure. Alright, we're dead, we're dead. Why would you bring in Fracture? Seems dubious. Wouldn't you almost be better with like a Pox shell? So are we dead? Guess we gotta hope to get a little bit lucky on the Dargans here. Did board out 2 of the time walks, so we're a little bit less likely to hit here. And we miss, so we might be dead. Don't think I want to return Oracle to their hand. Just doesn't seem like something I'm interested in. I think they were counting on me bouncing their Oracle, would be my guess. Sure. Start by attacking with the Dargan. Let's do the time warp again. Savor the moment. And we win the match. Oh, it still is. I played against it. My only burn league that I've played in like the last 2 months, I played against ad nauseum with Profane Tutor, so they're still basically a consistent turn 4 deck. It seems fine. And we got a Dargon that we really don't want, but rest of the hand seems fine. Not quite sure what we're up against. Mirror match? No, definitely not the mirror match. I'm still not quite sure what we're playing against. Yeah, we just jam around here, right? They have remand, they have remand, it's whatever. Sure. Oh, we're up against the Cascade deck, I'm guessing. That makes sense now. Lantern Control is... was severely hurt by the loss of so what is our way to win here? It's basically cast Prismari Command, hope to rip Indomitable Creativity. Hope our opponent doesn't have a Force of Negation. Is that our best bet here? Target player draws 2 cards. Well, shiitake. So we hit the creativity, but we also drew the second Velomachus. Probably want Veils of Summer. Interested in these Ether Gusts. Bolt's mostly useless. Basically, it was already on the way down, and then once it lost Mox Opal, it wasn't fast enough to set up. There's been some attempts to revitalize it with Urza and company, but the death of Mox Opal was basically the death of the final death knell of Lantern Control. It was already a very fragile deck, and they just kept printing more and more good interaction for it anyway, so it's kind of whatever. It's not a deck that I mourn much for, frankly. I mean, sure, it was a decent matchup for Burn, but like almost anything else I wanted to play, it was... I think Burn and Jund were the only two decks I know that consistently had a good matchup against it without like boarding in a bunch of cards. I guess control decks like had an okay matchup against it if they could break the lock. But yeah, I wasn't too happy about about it. Don't think this hand's good enough. This hand isn't great either. I mean, this hand's keepable, I guess. I could pretend I have a Remand or something, but they don't have a whole lot on two that I care about. Like Bone Crusher Giant and Petty Theft are their normal ones. Yeah, this isn't gonna go well. So for anyone wondering why Basic Plains is the only other basic in the deck, I would guess as an anti Blood Moon card to allow you to cast Wear Tear and Nahiri. That would be my guess. Okay, well. Don't think this Teferi is going to resolve, but, you know. Sure. Half expecting the Force of Negation to boot. They're considering it. Subtlety, pitching subtlety. there's a good chance we're dead here anyway. Suspect that most counterspell matchups backed up by pressure are going to be pretty rough for us. Wish our opponent would make a move here. So I don't even know what I'm hoping to draw here. All right. I mean, that was really hard for opponent. They just figured out to cast another Cascade spell when they win. I mean... Draw again, which is unfortunate. Yeah, that seems fun. Obviously very reliant on Ren and 6 surviving, but... Oh, great. Yeah, Asmon's, whatever. It says... What's up, War Dog? How you doing? Cool. Store just dead. Cool. Alright, definitely want the wear tears. Definitely want the Stony Silences. Nahiri seems decent. The Mans don't seem all that particularly good in this matchup. Try like this. No. I think Bolt and Prismatic Ending answer it enough. We just got unfortunate that they happened to draw 2 that game. Don't think this hand's good enough. This hand also is not good enough. This hand's okay, I guess. Put back. Sure. Darcy. It's an interesting one. Basic Plains coming back to bite us again. Croxa. Wow, they have all kinds of fun toys to play with. We actually have a consideration about prismatic ending here. I think we hold on to it for the moment because we probably want to answer Croxa with it. Good grief. Well, that was a pretty good rip. Alright, that was probably a game we shouldn't have won, but is it normal for them to board in? Ironically, the Rakdos version doesn't seem to be all that popular. Now that we've seen Darcy and Croxa, however, we probably do want to bring in. Once again, one lander, can't keep it. Think we can keep this one. Put back Saver the moment. We save that until that way they can't dash in another one. Sure. It's a run in 6 world, the monkey is just living in it. Let's do the time warp again. Sure. Okay. Deals 2 damage. Sure, you get a food. Sure. Sure. So do I kill Asmon or do I kill Alpine Moon? No one of the cards in hand's Daredevil. Don't know if they have another Asmon in hand or something else. Feels like an Asmon the way they're sequencing things. Oh, that now has... Okay, well, you know. Oh, looks like we're gonna be taking another L here, unfortunately. So their cards in hand are Cookbook, Cookbook and whatchamacallit? Sure. Don't honestly know that we have it out right now. Like, they could even kill Emrakul at this point if we had brought that in. Right on time, Stony Silence. Right on time. I don't think this works, but we'll try it just for posterity's sake. Alright, well, fortunately creativity wouldn't have gotten there, so I think we're gonna call it a wrap from there. So match number 1 we were up against, I don't even remember at this point. Match number 2, obviously, we played against Cascade, which just feels kind of miserable because of the counter spells they have, and you're under a rather quick clock, plus the disruption. Oh, Ad Nauseam. We beat Ad Nauseam in round 1. And then, obviously, Asmon plus food equals an answer to Dragon, out of a deck that otherwise could struggle to answer a 7-drop sometimes. You know, obviously we still need to finish up the league, but I do have church in the morning, so I could stay up terribly late tonight, and I don't want to start another match and get in like a half-hour grind fest or something. Deck's still fun. I mean, regardless of the results, you know, it's nice to try things out in the tournament testing room, whatever. And also quite nice to try it out in leagues after you've done that for a while, just as a chance to play the deck a little bit more against a little bit more tighter competition. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But deck's a lot of fun, and if you have the cards, you should really try it out. But we will be back probably tomorrow night to finish up the league at the very least. So this has been John for MTG Nexus. I hope everybody has a great evening. See ya.